Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
One request. It would be very nice to see everyone wearing tilak. Everyone should put on tilak, please. This Krishna conscious process is training for entering the spiritual world. So one of the things everyone does in the spiritual world is put on tilak. So if you don't like to put on tilak, then you have to stay here. So you might as well get in the habit of putting on tilak. So we're supposed to be doing it from now till eternity. Jare, everyone looks much better with tilak. Look as if you directly came from Vaikuntha. That's what's said in the Nectar of Devotion. People who wear tilak and neck beads, they look as if they directly come from Vaikuntha. But if you don't wear tilak, what do you look like? What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described, you look like a walking graveyard. Actually, it's not graveyard, but look like it reminds Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of the place where they burned their bodies. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching, anyone came without tilak, he'd tell them, go, come back with tilak. So this is part of our Alright, so we're continuing reading from Saranagati. Tumito maribe jare, ke tare rakite pare. He says that whoever you want to kill, if you want to kill someone, who can protect him? This corresponds to a well-known Bengali proverb which Prabhupada used to quote many times, several times. Mare Krishna rakeke, rake Krishna mareke. That if Krishna wants to kill someone, who can protect him? And if Krishna wants to protect someone, who can kill him? Just like we see on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna told Arjuna that all the soldiers, they're all going to die. Whatever you think, Arjuna, except yourself, the Pandavas and a few others, all will be killed. They're not going to be going home. That was already Krishna's wish. So they were not to be protected. Even though they had so many means to be protected, they could not be protected. They had so many great powers of fighting. Duryodhana's body was invincible. No one could break his body by any weapon. It was like steel. But still, Krishna knew how to kill him. Because Duryodhana's body had become by steel by the blessings of his mother. In those days, people were very powerful. By following regulated principles, people became very powerful. Just like we say, you should follow the regulated principles very strictly. You should be very strict in all your practices. Then you become strong in Krishna consciousness. We're not insisting to follow these rules and regulations simply out of dogmatism. But we know that if you follow these rules and regulations very carefully, you'll advance in Krishna consciousness. You'll become strong. So, Duryodhana's mother Gandhari, she was very powerful because she had a very strong vow of chastity. For a woman, according to Vedic culture, for a woman, more important than performing austerities, more important than any religious practices, is her vow of chastity to her husband. So Gandhari, she was so chaste that when she was married, she saw, my husband is blind. He was blind from birth. Dhritarashtra. So she thought that I should not be in a position superior to my husband. So she also put the covering cloth on her eyes. So she voluntarily became blind. So by following this vow, she became very powerful. So she told her eldest son, Duryodhana, one day, you come to me tomorrow morning. First thing in the morning, you come to me naked. Because she wanted to bless him. So Duryodhana was a Kshatriya, he was born in the fighting class. A blessing for a Kshatriya means to make him very strong for fighting. So her idea was that she would take the covering off her eye, and her sight would be so powerful that by seeing him she could bless him with a body just like steel. So she told him, come to me tomorrow, before you do anything else, come to me naked. But Krishna, he knows everything, and he didn't want Duryodhana to become invincible. So he was waiting when Duryodhana was going in the morning naked. He said, what are you doing, walking around naked? He said, well, I'm going to see my mother. She told me to come like this. So Krishna told him, at least for decency, put some underwear. So Duryodhana felt a little embarrassed being naked in front of Krishna. He went before his mother, and she said, have you come to me without your clothes? Yes. So then she took the cover off her eyes, and she saw him standing with the underwear. He said, why are you wearing the underwear? So he told that, well, Krishna advised me like that. Gandhari thought, oh yes, Krishna, I know Krishna very well. So that part where the underwear was worn, that was soft like ordinary flesh. So Duryodhana, his body could not be hurt At the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, he was fighting with Bhimasen. Bhimasen was expert in fighting with a club. Duryodhana was also expert. In skill, in technique, Duryodhana was more expert. But Bhima, his strokes were strong, very strong, heavy. But all those heavy blows that couldn't hurt the body of Duryodhana. But then Krishna gave the clue to hit below the waist. And that broke the thighs of Duryodhana. And he had to... Well, this story has Prabhupada told him. Below the Uru, the word is used. Uru means thighs. The Uru in Osama means hip around here. So, so this way, everyone, despite all their benedictions, despite all their skills, they were all to be killed. Duryodhana had such a blessing, he could not be killed. Bhishma also could not be killed, but he made his own vow that he would not fight with a woman. No one could defeat him, but he wouldn't fight with a woman. So Shikandin, he was a woman who had taken that form only for the sake of killing Bhishma. So Bhishma refused to fight with him. So in this way Shikandin was able to attack him. So there are so many stories. But the purport is that everyone is dying at the hands of Krishna. Death is one of the forms of Krishna. Some people say, I don't believe in God. Those who don't believe in God, they also meet God at the time of death. In the form of death. It is not very pleasant form. Devotees, they like to see the smiling face of Krishna playing the flute. But those who refuse to see such a form, they will also see Krishna. Because Krishna is everything. So Krishna comes in this form, Mrityu Sarva Harashchaham, to take everything away. No one can protect. Tava Ichha Bosh Tribhuvan. The whole world is working under the desire of Krishna. This Tava Ichha Bosh Tribhuvan, how the world is working under the desire of Krishna, that is explained throughout this song. Brahma Adi Devagan Tava Das Aganam Kore Tava Agya Palam. He says that, beginning from Brahma, all the demigods, they are your uncountable number of servants. And they simply follow your orders. Uncounted number of demigods. The main demigods, they are counted as Tetrish Koti Devata, means 330 million. These are the administrative demigods of the universe. But every function is controlled by some demigod. Just like even when we blink our eyelids, there's some demigod who's controlling that function. And apart from the administrative demigods, there are so many other demigods. So many, but they're all working under the control of them. Even Durga Devi is so powerful. Shrishti Sthiti Pralay Sadhana Shakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharati Durga Ichhana Rupam Api Yasya Chateshta Tesa Govindamadi Purusham Tamahayajana. Mother Durga is so powerful that she can personally create, maintain and destroy universes. But Ichhana Rupa, the same word is used here, Ichhabosh. She works under the control, under the desire of Krishna. So powerful, but under the control of Krishna. We cannot imagine how powerful Krishna is. Foolish people, they say there is no God. But even the power to speak that also comes from God. So people who are very offensive to God, it often happens that they have to suffer much at the end of their life. There was one philosopher, politician, who was a great Mayavadi. And Prabhupada was particularly upset with him, because he wrote in commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Now, of course, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna clearly says, always think of me and become my devotee. He tells us directly what is beneficial for us. But this so-called philosopher, he did not like that people should think of Krishna. He is very envious. So he gave the commentary that it is not Krishna, the person, that we should surrender to. It's not who we should think of. But he said it is to the unborn eternal within Krishna. Which means he's very envious of Krishna. Why should we not think of Krishna? Krishna tells us to think of him. And his commentary on Bhagavad Gita is don't think of Krishna. So for talking so many sinful things, what was the result? At the end of life he became completely paralyzed. He could not move his lips, he could not speak at all. He was just like a vegetable. So this is what happens to those who deny Krishna. They think we can do whatever we like, but they cannot. Krishna is the only one who can do whatever he likes. We can do what we like only as long as Krishna gives sanction. completely under Krishna's control. Rog shog niti bhoy, tava ichha mate hoy, tava agya shuddha balavan. He says that disease, lamentation, death, fear, they're all coming under the direction of Krishna, under the desire of Krishna. Tava agya shuddha balavan. Your order is always powerful. We can imagine if there's a very powerful leader in the country. Just like at one time, Stalin was leader of this country. So whatever he said, that order must be followed. And because he was so powerful and strong, people felt his presence. Even people who had never seen him, who lived in a remote part of the Soviet Union, everyone could feel his presence because of his strong control. But now he is dead and gone. So Krishna is something like that, a benevolent control. His presence is everywhere. His presence cannot be denied. Foolish people want to deny his presence, but they are also controlled. No one can go against his order. No one is outside his control. Tava bhoye vayu boy, chandra surya samudoy, shasha niyamito kaja kore. He says that out of fear of you the wind blows. Out of fear of you the sun, the moon and all the other planets, they perform their allotted duties. Every day we see the sun rise. Of course in this season you don't see the sun rise. Anyway, every day we see. So we may think that is natural. Natural, that's correct. But natural means that's going on under the order of Krishna. Maya dhakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam hitunanena kuntaya jagad viparivartate. Krishna says that this material energy is working under my direction. All living beings, moving and non-moving, they're caused by me, under my control. It's not by chance. It's under the order of Krishna. Tumito paramesha. Tumito paramesha parabrahma paratpa tava bhasha bhagata antare. It says, you are the supreme controller. You are the supreme absolute truth. You are above all. Yet you live within the heart of your devotee. That Narottam also sings. Tama hridaya shada govinda vishram. He says, in the heart of the Vaishnava, Krishna is always resting. So this is one of the wonderful features of Krishna. Even though he's so powerful, he's so great, that he is very much inclined to his devotee. If a devotee offers Krishna with love, a simple leaf or flower, Krishna becomes very much indebted to him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has unlimited potencies. He has unlimited qualities. We cannot even begin to imagine how great Krishna is. Like Krishna says in the Gita, Mamo tejam shashambhavam. This whole cosmic manifestation comes into being by simply a tiny fraction of my power. Yet the greatest of his qualities is not his creation, maintenance and destruction. In less developed systems of religious thought, they put much stress on the power of God, how we should fear God, how great God is. So that we also don't deny, we also stress that. But what is the most wonderful thing about God is that despite his being so great, he agrees to become the intimate friend of his pure devotee. So the greatest manifestation of Krishna's opulence is his mercy upon his pure devotee. Shada shuddha siddhakam bhakata vatshalanam bhakata jane nittashami. He says that Shada shuddha siddhakam. Your desires are always fulfilled. That is one of the qualities of God. You'll find one of the names of Krishna in the Vishnu Sahasranam is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires, that must be fulfilled. And also Krishna gives that quality to his pure devotees, that whatever they desire, that's also fulfilled by his grace, because their desires are always pure. Here it said, Sada Shuddha Siddhakam. Krishna's desires are always pure. Sometimes people ask, well, if God is good, why is there so much suffering in the world? We should know that suffering is not God's desire. God always wants good for everybody, but he gives us independence. And if we misuse that, we create our own suffering. Krishna's name is Bhakata Vatsala. He is very kind and loving to his devotees. And Bhakata Jane Nittashami. He is the he is the eternal master of the devotees. That's one line I was missing. There's one important line I missed earlier on. I was looking for that. Tava ichha mate jato graha ganna abhirata shubha shubha phal kareda. This means that all the planets, they, under the desire of Krishna, they continuously give people their auspicious and inauspicious results. Planets. You know about astrology? Yeah. Now, often people are very interested in astrology, and they see what is the influence of different planets. Just like certain planets are considered auspicious, other planets are considered inauspicious, and other planets may be auspicious or inauspicious according to the houses they're in and the configurations they're in. And what one person may think is a very nice planet, others may not like so much. Just like Shukra, that is very good for the materialists. That means good opportunity for material enjoyment. But for devotional life, to have strong influence of Shukra in your chart is not very good. Same thing, Shani means, if you have strong Shani in your chart, then that means there will be difficulties and tendency towards very little material enjoyment. So for the materialist, this is not very nice. But also, Shani is good for those who have interested in renunciation. So Shubha Shubha, people, what is the auspicious, what is inauspicious? Is Rahu and Ketu, they're always considered inauspicious. So people are very interested in astrology. What will happen to me in future? They consult an astrologer and they get different stones, and the astrologer recommends different things. Or you should worship Ganesh and this will remove the upcoming obstacle. Or you should chant some prayers to some demigod, this will help you. So in this way they give different advice. But a devotee, he knows that Tava Ichhamate, all the planets, they are simply working under the direction of Krishna. And Krishna says, Sarvadhaman Parittajama Mekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tang Sarva Papebhyo Mukshisham. He says that if you simply surrender to me, giving up all other commitments, then I will deliver you from all reactions. Reactions. So a devotee is not very much concerned with astrology. He's concerned with Krishna. And how Krishna, if we surrender to, he's convinced that if I surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will surely protect me. That is the item of Saranagati, of surrender, which is being discussed in this series of songs. So, Tumito raksibe jare, ke tare marite pare, shakal vidhir vidhi tumi. He says that it's the same thing as was said before. Tumito, if you protect someone, who can kill them? Just like in your chart, it may say, the astrologer may read, you will die tomorrow. Tomorrow, building will fall on your head and you will die. Even today you can find a good astrologer, they can predict such things. But for a devotee, it may not happen. There are many instances where devotees have been saved from death by the plan of Krishna, because Krishna has some work for them to do. Sometimes also devotees, they get some accident or something like this. So sometimes people think, well, I became a devotee of Krishna, then why should I have all these problems? Krishna says, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. But we should know, just like for instance, if you get a cut on your finger, that probably by your karma you had to have your whole hand chopped off. But just a little token punishment is being given. Krishna minimizes that for his devotees. Just why he does that? Just to give a little reminder that this material world is very dangerous. Keep on surrendering to Krishna, otherwise you'll get worse reactions. Shakal vidhya vidhi tumi. Now, this word, vidhi, this is very interesting. This means rule or order. It means everything in this universe is working under some order. And one of the names of Brahma is Vidhi. Everything is working under his order. But Krishna, he is the law of all laws. All the laws are stemming from Krishna. So if Krishna wants, he can change the law. Just like if there is a court case, someone is sentenced, he may appeal to the president, because the president has the power to let him go. Someone may be sentenced to death, so he goes to a higher court, Supreme Court, for appeal. And if that fails, then he may appeal to the president. So even though in the lower court and the Supreme Court he was found guilty and sentenced to death, still the president has the right, if he wants, just to, alright, let him go. He has that power. So Krishna has that power absolutely, throughout the whole universe. Generally, Krishna doesn't interfere with the law distribution. There is a philosophy called Karma. They say that we don't have to worship God, because if you do good activities, then God, even if there is a God, He is under obligation to give you a good result. And even if you do bad activities, that also doesn't matter. God is forced to give you a bad result. So they say no need to worship God. So, in one sense, that is true. That God, He doesn't interfere very much with the karmic reactions. That whatever good you do, whatever bad you do, that is seen by the different demigods. But if you surrender to Krishna, if you approach Krishna, He personally takes an interest in you, and He clears up your sinful reactions. So those who are followers of Karma Mimamsa, they don't know that by taking such an attitude, they may think they're very clever. But by denying God in that way, they again become sinful. So even if they do so many different pious activities, if they fail to recognize Krishna as the supreme controller, they fall into hell. Even if they do millions of pious activities, by that one sinful activity of not recognizing Krishna, they must fall down. Some verse in the Bhagavatam in that regard is that Isham Purusham Sakshad, I can't remember how it goes, but it says that even if one follows all the Varnashram principles very nicely, if he fails to worship Krishna, he falls into hell. He falls down. Toma charane nath kari ache pranipat bhakati vinoda tapadas. He says, again and again he says, practically in every song, Bhakti Thakur says, my dear Lord, I'm falling down at your lotus feet. Bhakti vinod tavadas, I'm your servant. So again and again repeating, I'm your servant. Again and again we repeat. Sometimes we think in class, well, I've heard all these things before. I know all these things. No need to hear all this. I want to hear something new. But first we should internalize those things we have heard. Again and again we say in class, surrender to Krishna. Why do we have to say again and again? Because we're not surrendering to Krishna. Therefore we have to say again and again. Bhakti Thakur is saying again and again, I am your servant, I'm falling at your lotus feet. Pranipat, prakrishta rupena nipat, means fully falling, nipat means to fall down. And pranipat means fully to fall down in surrender, in offering obeisance. How to offer obeisances? One should offer not only with the body but with the mind also. That is pranipat. Otherwise, simply falling down and offering obeisances, that is not in itself very valuable. Many people, they offer obeisances just for show. They'll say, oh, Guru Maharaj ki jai, with great enthusiasm. When Guru Maharaj asks them to follow something, they have so many excuses. So their offering obeisances is not very realistic. I'm showing I'm a great devotee by offering obeisances. Offering obeisances means when you get up, you should be ready to follow the order. Vipad hoite shami, avasya tahare tumi, raksibe tahare bishash. He says that Bhakti Thakur says that I'm certain, my Lord, that you will protect me from dangers. So this is the point, that if Krishna is the controller of everything, and He's kind to His devotees, if even the demigods are working under His direction, then is He not capable of correcting His devotees? Certainly He will. So this is why we regularly hear about Krishna. How great is Krishna? So that we'll have full faith to surrender. Hare Krishna. Any question?
He's saying, can you say that if devotee make some service, but if some devotee, for example, even some devotee is somehow unhappy by this service of devotee, can we say that Krishna is also unhappy? If at least one.
Yes. Krishna and the devotee, pure devotee, their desires are not different. And the pure devotee, even if his desire is a little different from Krishna, then Krishna, he respects the desire of the pure devotee. There are so many examples of this. Just like Mayadanava, he wanted to run away from the burning forest. And Krishna and Arjuna, they were going outside the forest, and Arjuna was shooting arrows to burn the forest. So Mayadanava saw there was Krishna and Arjuna. So he came to Arjuna to ask for protection. Because he thought, if I ask Krishna for protection, he probably won't give it to me. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vinashayata dushkritam. One of my jobs is to destroy the demons. So Mayadanava was a demon. But Krishna also says, Paritranaya sadhunam, I protect my devotees. So Mayadanava was very intelligent. Generally demons, they may be quite intelligent. So he thought, let me take shelter of Arjuna. Because if Arjuna gives me protection, then Krishna will be perplexed. That he has two businesses, one to destroy the demons and one to protect the devotees. So out of these two duties of Krishna, Krishna takes more importance to protect his devotees. So even though Mayadanava should not have been protected, because Arjuna was ready to give him protection, Krishna was ready to protect Arjuna's desire, and he allowed him to be protected. Now, another thing I'd like to say is that you have several questions to ask. At the same time you're asking that to be Krishna conscious without spiritual master. Now, Krishna conscious, you have to know what is Krishna consciousness. And you have to learn. So how can you learn without accepting guidance? So this is a very evident fact. You're definitely in need of a spiritual master. Whether you're suitable for accepting one or not, that is another matter. Because one has to be ready to surrender. One has to be serious. But just consider your position. You're asking questions about the philosophy. So that means you're in need of knowledge. To get the knowledge of Krishna, you have to go to a guru. Otherwise, actually, traditionally, gurus, they won't give knowledge to anybody and everybody. This public meeting, anyone can come and ask questions and go away. That wasn't the system. First, one has to surrender and become a disciple. Then they'll teach. Otherwise, they won't waste their time. So that you're asking questions is good. But you shouldn't simply ask questions. You should surrender also. It's not simply by intellectual adjustment that you can understand Krishna. You may be thinking surrender is a very horrible thing. I have to give up all my material attachments. So you have to decide what you want to do with your life. Otherwise you can come here and ask questions for 20 years. And if you're not prepared to act upon the answers to the questions, then what is the meaning of answering the question? You should think what to do with your life. Don't waste your life. You come, you have some interest in Krishna, that is very good. But don't take it as a hobby. You should take it very seriously and make your life perfect. Any other question?
He's saying how to understand the fact that when we read the 16th chapter, when there's describing the qualities of ahimsa, shanti, rajavam and all these things, he explained the ahimsa that one should not kill the animals, but if there is no other food, one can kill certain animals, but anyway this meat of such an animal should be offered to God, and he's asking how to understand this point.
What is the difficulty to understand? Why does it say that? What exactly does it say? You have an English Bhagavad Gita there? There is a system of offering meat in Vedic sacrifices. Krishna himself doesn't like to eat meat, but there are different devatas so that may be offered to. Where's the English? I need to see the English Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, he will be.
Should be offered in sacrifice, yes. When there's no alternative, one may kill an animal, but it should be offered in sacrifice. It doesn't say offered to Krishna.
In Russian it's written, should offer to God.
So it doesn't say that in English. Make a note. Should tell the BBT. You going to do that? Can you make a note?
Oh. I heard that they are in for new edition. No.
Okay. So it's a new edition. And there's a question.
And Krishna says that one should reject all the religious activities and just surrender to him. What he does, what he means on when he says religious activities.
That we're discussing, what is this surrender? That is being discussed. There are many religious activities which do not directly aim at love of God. They may be known as sub-religious activities. There is karma, jnana, yoga, demigod worship. There is devotion to Krishna mixed with the desire for material enjoyment. There is devotion to Krishna mixed with the desire for liberation. So all these are lesser religious principles. Krishna asks us to give them up and come to this principle of simply surrendering to him. So whatever religious principles we may follow which are not directly aimed at loving Krishna, this is what Krishna asks us to do. Bhagavatam says that whatever dharma, whatever religious or occupational duties we perform, if they don't bring us to the point of getting a taste for hearing about Krishna, for loving Krishna, simply a waste of time. Savaipam sang paro dharmo yato bhakti adhosije ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. The topmost religion, the real religion, is that which is offered to the transcendental Lord. That is what kind of religion should be all the time. Not that I go to church once a week and then I forget God till next week. Dear God, please forgive my sins and bless me so I enjoy material. So goodbye, now I'm going to forget you. I'll come back next week with some more sins for you to forgive and some more things for you to bless me with. So that is not, this kind of so-called religion Krishna has to give us. It should be 24 hours. Manmana, always think of me, Krishna. Ahaituki, without any material desire. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches. He says, I don't want Krishna anything from you. Not money or beautiful woman or followers. Nothing conceivable within the universe for sense gratification do I desire. So it may seem a very strange thing that Krishna is asking us to give up religion. Lord, he's called, in Gita, he's called Shashvata Dharma Gopta. He's the maintainer of the eternal religion. So this religion he is establishing. And sub-religion or quasi-religion, that is rejected. Kaitava Dharma Projata. This, in the Bhagavatam, that elaborates on this theme. After studying Gita, we should study Bhagavatam. So in the Gita, Krishna discusses karma, jnana, yoga, so many different things. And he comes to the point, finally, just surrender to him. But the Bhagavatam begins, very beginning, all cheating types of religion rejected. Any more questions?
He's saying that about this lecture when he was saying that I myself make a lot of mistakes or something like this, and then she's also saying that why you are saying like this, because like I said, one should say about good things and don't say about bad things. Something like this. How can Guru say that I have making a lot of mistakes?
Mistakes means what I speak, I don't speak mistakes. Guru should repeat the message of Krishna without changing. Prabhupada compared the position of a Guru to like that of a messenger. Messenger simply carries the message from one place to another without changing it. Otherwise, other things may not be completely perfect in all respects. Some devotees, they are super extraordinary. Just like we saw, Prabhupada is most brilliant in all respects. Now we see in the ISKCON movement all over the world that some devotees, different devotees are promoting different aspects of what Prabhupada taught. Some are very much pushing book distribution, some are preaching to scientists, some have specialized in deity worship, some have specialized in teaching Gurukul. But Prabhupada did all these things. He traveled all over the world and spread Krishna consciousness personally. And not only that, but he wrote so many books at the same time. And he didn't make mistakes of any kind. He said, if I made any mistake, it's because I accept so many unqualified disciples. Mistake means that was his mercy. To give people a chance to come up. So there's absolutely no way that I can claim to be on such a level. Prabhupada is Guru, I am Guru. But my position as Guru is that I'm simply trying to repeat what Prabhupada says. Of course, Prabhupada, he also said that. He said, my only qualification is that I simply try to follow the orders of the But Prabhupada was empowered to a tremendous extent. So his mission has been taken up by his disciples. And anyone who follows the instructions of his disciples, those who faithfully follow Prabhupada, get the same result. They become linked with the Guru Parampara. But doesn't mean that, certainly not in my case, doesn't mean that I'm as powerful or as great or as pure as Prabhupada by any means. You have to be honest. There's no use for me to pretend to be some angel from the spiritual world. So, any other questions?
He's saying that some devotees say that you don't want devotional service, you want sense enjoyment, but he says on which level this want is manifesting, on the level of the senses or mind or soul?
That I don't know, you can say yourself. Anyone wants to serve Krishna, it's a very easy, straightforward thing to do. Even if one is not engaged in gross sense gratification. if he's not engaging Krishna to the fullest extent he can, that is a kind of sense gratification. Now, a young man like you, if you're really serious about serving Krishna, you should do what these young men are doing. You should just to fully engage your life in Krishna's service. Now, it's not just a matter of living in the temple or not living in the temple. Simply one's body hasn't got to be in the temple, but you have to fully engage in Krishna's service. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you're not fit to live in the temple. So you should think what you're doing with your life. Again, I say, be serious. You have very good opportunity. You can make your life perfect very easily. It's up to you. You choose. Do it or not do it. So, Hare Krishna. We'll finish there. We'll have Kirtan. So you all do Kirtan, and I'm going back to my another Kirtan. Computer Kirtan. Writing books is also one kind of Kirtan. It takes many thousands of hours to make one book. They have a system. So this is the Vedic system. This corresponds. Sunday means the sun, Monday means the moon. Then Tuesday means Mangal, which corresponds to Neptune, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, all these different planets.
You were speaking about this our solar system planets. Then you were saying about the heavenly planets, and then you were saying that they have the bodies, but why we can see these bodies? We cannot see them.
No, you can't see, you haven't been there. But if you saw, you might not be able to. They have different kinds of bodies. Just like our bodies, they're mostly made of solid matter, earth and water. But the demigods, they have very fine bodies. Just like you see, there are some living creatures, they're suitable for living in the water. They have suitable bodies. Some are suitable for living in the ground. Nature gives them suitable bodies. So their nature, recently about 10 years ago, scientists found living organisms living at temperatures of 800 degrees centigrade.
800 degrees plus?
Yeah, which according to their previous scientific calculations is impossible. But according to the Vedic literatures, there are living entities in the sun also. Their bodies are fiery bodies. Just like in our body there is heat, so in their bodies there is sufficient heat to live in such a hot atmosphere. We see some living beings, they live in sub-zero temperatures, like penguins and polar bears. Their body is adapted to them. So throughout the universe there are different conditions where living entities